respected viewers. In this second vlog, we will try to understand very, very briefly whether hijab is oppressive and what is the status of hijab vis-a-vis the Indian constitution. First, whether hijab is oppressive, it is criticized widely in the media, even by almost all the sections of society, say the liberals, the leftists, or the communal elements or the Islamophobes, that hijab is the slavish mentality. It reflects the coercive and regressive teachings of Islam, etc. God forbid. Is it really oppressive or liberating? If we see objectively, setting aside our emotions, our prejudices, if we impartially, objectively assess and examine the role of hijab, one may honestly arrive at the conclusion that instead of being oppressive, it is liberating, it is ennobling, it is empowering, it is a very positive element of the Islamic teachings of dress for women and men, etc. Let us see first in history. In the 7th century itself, when in the 4th Hijrah, at the end of 4th Hijrah or the 5th Hijrah, we find hijab injunctions were revealed. Since then, what we find that the ladies, for instance, Hazrat Aisha, may blessings of Allah be upon her, was one of the main scholars of hadith. Many, or you can say thousands of ahadith are reported by her. So she was a hijabi. She was a great scholar. And almost all used to wear hijab during that period. Now later you see in 9th century, for instance in 859, another hijabi, a Muslim lady, Fatima al-Fahri, from Morocco Fez, she established the first ever university in the world in 859. She was a hijabi. Now, if hijab oppresses women, keeps them backward, then how come that they are, in the field of scholarship? One lady who enjoys the credit of being the first to establish the first ever university is a Muslim. And secondly, thereafter, you see, Sutayt al-Muhammili in 10th century, she was one of the greatest arithmeticians. To the present day, if you see, many scholars, even in medieval times, in the royal courts, for instance, in India, Mughal courts, if you see the history of Mughals, or even before them, women used to play an important part in judicial, in executive, in administrative matters. They had economic powers. For example, in the medieval period of Mughals, many women behind the royal court, in the royal court itself, they used to conduct economic activities on their own. They were great scholars also. If you find in this short vlog, it's not possible to give the details. But yes, there are many in medieval history, and even to the present day, if you see modern times, everywhere, in every aspect of human life, in every field, you will find hijabi women are, excelling. Now, is it oppressive? They are participating in sports, they are participating in politics, they are participating in administrative, military, or any economic activity. They are there. They are not lagging behind. Hijab does not suppress or oppress women. Rather, it is the embodiment of their identity, their dignity, their honor, their privilege. Then, another important role of hijab. You see, in the 19th century, when the French and the British colonizers colonized North Africa, Middle Eastern countries, etc., what we find? Role of hijab was one of the most important element to liberate those territories, those countries You know, in fact, when the French tried hard to inculcate forcibly the laws to outlaw hijab, to prohibit hijab, what we see, it became a symbol of resistance. And hijab was such a symbol of resistance that led to the liberation of those countries. Now, is it oppressive or liberating? So, even in present times, you see everywhere in India or in Muslim countries or in the Western countries, we find hijabi women are advancing in every field. So, it is oppressive, not at all. In 2008, one Gallup conducted a poll of 50,000 Muslim women from 35 countries. Now, what was the question, the query given to them? Is Islam oppressive? Is there coercion upon them to wear hijab? Or the Islamic teachings is a kind of obstruction, impediment to their prosperity, to their progress, to their advancement? It was found that they said it is Islam which is responsible for their progress. It is the revelation of Gallup. It is the finding of Gallup survey, where more than 50,000 Muslim women from 35 countries, they replied that Islam is very crucial for their growth, for their advancement, for their progress. Now, on the flip side, what we find, they see that the modernity, what is called so-called modernity, nudity or revealing clothes, etc., which is leading towards a perverted life or sexual anarchy, which is a kind of, regressive kind of journey towards life, or it corrupts life in every aspect of the term, in true sense of the term. Then, another important thing, you see, it was hijab, which is in fact used as a way of curbing male sexual desire. That's why they put in, to defend themselves, to protect themselves, to reflect their identity. Hijab is a kind of identity, it is a kind of symbol, it is a kind of self-assertion. It is not suppression, it is assertion, it is articulation of their individuality, of their identity. Now let us see the second part of this vlog, whether hijab is constitutional, this attire, is it according to the Indian constitution or not? You see, in India, we have the secular constitution, which is one of the best in the world, the longest and perhaps the best, you can say, if not, I think it is the best constitution in the world. If not the best, it is certainly one of the best. In part 3 of the constitution, article 25 clause 1, it provides for the freedom to profess, practice and propagate religion. So thus, hijab in no way affects the public order, morality and health. So subject to these things, every individual is free to profess, practice and propagate religion. And thus, according to article 25, the emphasis is on practice of religion by individuals as they choose. So this practice is concerned primarily, it is religious worship, rituals or observations, etc. Thus we find that constitutionally women are entitled to put on or wear the hijab, which is perfectly constitution, which is their fundamental right. It is not only Indian constitution, but if we see Universal Declaration of Human Rights or all the constitutions of the countries, every constitution provides this fundamental right of women to profess, to practice and to propagate religion. And practicing means wear the hijab and the dress, the attire of their choice. Freedom to choose is a fundamental right which cannot be denied to any individual, including any women. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.